Welcome to the deep dive. We grab a stack of sources, plunge right in.
And pull out those surprising insights, the knowledge you can actually, use.
That's the goal. We try to cut through the noise, get to the heart of it.
Exactly.
And today we are diving into a book that's, well, it's short, but wow, it packs a punch. As a Man Thinketh by James Allen.
Right. And it's not really presented as some kind of old, dusty philosophy text.
Yeah.
It's framed much more like a practical guide. It argues that your thoughts right now are actively shaping your reality.
Yeah, shaping the world you experience, who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So our mission today, really, is to unpack Allen's core message and crucially translate it into, actual strategies.
Concrete things you can use.
Exactly. How can you apply these ideas to navigate the stresses, the challenges we all face, in modern life, to help you focus your energy, achieve what you want to achieve?
It's really an exploration of this idea the text puts forward that you have this power over your own being.
A power we often overlook.
Yeah, I think so. And understanding that power, Alan suggests, is the absolute first step to actually using it.
Okay, so let's jump right in. Where does Allen start? He kicks off with that really famous line.
As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he.
Yeah, it's such a bold claim, isn't it? That thought is just fundamental.
It really is. And he's not just talking about, random thoughts popping into your head.
Right.
He argues your character, who you are fundamentally, is the complete sum, the accumulation of all your thoughts.
All of them. So not just the ones I consciously choose.
No, that's the thing. It includes the deliberate ones, sure, but also those seemingly spontaneous thoughts, the ones kind of running in the background.
So my character isn't just like the face I put on or the big choices I make.
It's the whole internal landscape, according to Alan, yeah. Even the parts you might not be paying close attention to.
He uses that imagery, right? Actions are the blossom.
Actions, and thought. And your experiences, the joy, the suffering, that's the fruit.
The fruit you harvest from those mental seeds you've planted?
You're constantly reaping what you've sown, mentally speaking. That's his view.
He really hammers that point home. Man is made or unmade by himself.
Mm-hmm. Using thoughts like tools.
Tools. How so?
Well, you can use them to build these heavenly mansions of joy and strength and peace, as he puts it.
Yeah.
Or, tragically, they become weapons for self-destruction.
And here's where it gets really, I think, empowering, especially when you feel overwhelmed by, everything going on today.
Right. He asserts that man is the master of thought.
The molder of character.
And the maker and shaper of his condition, environment, and destiny. He says the key to every situation, every change you want, it's inside you.
Okay, let's make that practical. So if I'm feeling stuck, maybe it's office politics or just the constant bad news or seeing everyone's perfect life on social media.
Mm-hmm.
What does this actually mean for me right now?
Well, it means first acknowledging that your internal state, the worry, the frustration, the comparison, it isn't just a passive reaction.
It's active.
Alan would say yes. It could be actively contributing to keeping those challenging circumstances going, or at least shaping how you experience them.
So the path to change.
It starts with looking inward. Deep self-analysis, conscious management of that inner world. He talks about digging in the mine of your soul.
Like actively watching, controlling, altering your dominant thoughts.
Exactly. That's the work he prescribes. It's a process.
Okay, building on that foundation, he uses an analogy that I find really helpful. The mind as a garden.
It's such a great analogy. He says, look, if you don't deliberately plant useful seeds, good, positive, purposeful thoughts,
Then what happens?
then useless weeds, the negative, the distracting, the impure thoughts, they'll just grow automatically. Your mind doesn't stay empty.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah.
And like any gardener, you can't just plant once and walk away.
No, you have to tend it constantly, weeding out the stuff you don't want, the wrong, useless, and impure thoughts, he calls them.
And actively cultivating the good stuff.
Planting and nurturing the positive, the strong, the useful thoughts. And this process, Alan argues, is how you become the master gardener of your soul.
Taking conscious control.
Exactly. Directing your life. And this ties directly into his view on circumstances.
Oh, okay. How so?
He says the outer conditions of your life are always harmoniously related to his inner state.
So my circumstances don't actually make me who I am.
No. They reveal you to yourself based on how you mentally respond to them.
That's a subtle but important distinction.
It is. He suggests you feel tossed around, buffeted by circumstances, only as long as you believe you're just a creature of those outside conditions.
But when you realize you have this creative power,
The power of thought, yeah. Then you start becoming the master of yourself. And here's a key point. Changes in your outer circumstances happen, he says, in exact ratio with your altered mental condition.
in exact ratio. Wow. So even suffering.
He sees suffering not as random, but as the effect of wrong thought. It's a signal indicating inner disharmony. Its purpose, ultimately, is to purify.
Okay, this brings up a really practical question for, just dealing with daily life. If my thoughts harden into habits, and my habits then solidify into my circumstances,
Right.
what recurring thoughts might be shaping my reality without me even noticing? Like, is my constant worrying about money actually creating habits that keep me stuck financially?
That's exactly the kind of self-reflection he encourages. He gives specific examples, too.
Like what?
Well, thoughts based in fear and doubt. He says they lead to weak habits, which lead to failure, indigence.
Okay.
Thoughts that are hateful or critical. They tend to crystallize into habits of accusation, blame, which can attract injury or conflict.
But the flip side.
Loving, unselfish, grateful thoughts, they foster habits of grace, kindliness. And those, he argues, create protective and prosperous circumstances.
So the message isn't that I can just magically change, say, my annoying commute tomorrow.
No, not directly. But you can choose your thoughts about the commute, or about your boss, or about that project.
And by choosing those thoughts,
You indirectly but surely begin to shape your circumstances over time. The world becomes like a kaleidoscope, he says, reflecting your constantly shifting thoughts.
so the practical takeaway, the strategy here, if you're feeling stuck in a tough situation, maybe a difficult relationship or a work problem,
Instead of just battling the external issue,
pause, look inward.
yeah, honestly examine the dominant thoughts you're feeding yourself about it. Are you mentally planting weeds, frustration, defeat, blame?
Or are you consciously cultivating flowers? Capability, solutions, understanding, patience.
That inner gardening, that's the starting point Alan emphasizes for changing the outer reality.
Okay, moving on from circumstances, Alan makes some pretty bold claims about thought and the physical body.
He does. He states flatly that the body is the servant of the mind.
It just obeys.
It obeys your thoughts, he argues, whether they're deliberately chosen or just running automatically.
And he connects negative thoughts directly to physical problems, right?
Very directly. Unlawful thoughts, as he puts it, meaning undisciplined, negative, impure ones, can lead to disease.
But the good news.
Glad and beautiful thoughts can build physical vigor and growth.
So health and disease are actually rooted in thought.
That's his core argument here. Sickly thoughts can manifest physically. He even says thoughts of fear can kill, just more slowly than a bullet.
Wow. And anxiety.
Demoralizes the body, he says. Impure thoughts can shatter the nervous system. It's quite dramatic.
But conversely, strong, pure, and happy thoughts build up the body.
In vigor and grace. He sees the body as this incredibly responsive instrument. Delicate and plastic, he calls it.
This really challenges the purely physical view of health. It suggests mental hygiene is absolutely fundamental.
Yeah, he even says changing your diet won't help much if you refuse to change the thoughts that might have led to unhealthy eating habits in the first place.
Because pure thoughts lead to pure habits.
Including food choices, yes. That's the connection he makes.
What I find fascinating is how he links thoughts to, like, your actual appearance.
Right. He suggests things like malice, envy, despondency don't just feel bad, they actually rob the body of health and grace.
Even shaping your face. Wrinkles from passion, or sweetness from sympathy.
It's a powerful visual, isn't it? Your inner state literally showing on the outside.
So his advice is pretty straightforward then.
Very. To perfect your body, guard your mind. To renew your body, beautify your mind. The body mirrors the thoughts inside.
And he offers these mental physicians.
Cheerful thought and goodwill. He claims they can actually dispel physical ailments and mental shadows.
Living in ill will is like a prison you build yourself.
While thinking well of everyone opens a portal of heaven, extending peace outwards brings peace back to you.
So for you, listening, dealing with the constant pressure, maybe feeling close to burnout, this chapter offers a really striking strategy.
Absolutely. Think about how stress or anxiety or maybe resentment might be showing up physically for you.
Headaches, tension, low energy.
Alan suggests that actively cultivating thoughts of peace, goodwill, cheerfulness, it's not just nice thinking. It's a direct, practical way to boost your physical health, your energy, your serenity, even when life is crazy busy.
Using your mind as a tool for physical vitality.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly. Thought and purpose.
Right. Alan connects these very strongly. He says, until thought is linked with purpose.
There is no intelligent accomplishment. Nothing really gets done effectively.
He actually calls aimlessness a vice.
Yeah, he argues it leaves you wide open to all those petty worries, fears, and self-pityings we talked about.
And those aren't just bad feelings.
He sees them as signs of weakness, and weakness, in his view, inevitably leads to failure and unhappiness.
So what's the alternative he proposes?
It's powerful. Conceive of a legitimate purpose in his heart and set out to accomplish it.
And this purpose isn't just a casual wish.
No, it needs to be the centralizing point of your thoughts. It should focus your thought forces. It becomes your supreme duty.
He calls this the royal road to self-control and true concentration of thought. Like it's the mental gym.
Exactly. It trains your mind. And he adds this encouraging bit, even if you aim high with purpose and fail.
The effort itself builds you up.
Right. The strength of character you gain through the effort is the real success. It makes you stronger for the next attempt.
That's helpful. But what if finding some great purpose feels overwhelming?
He addresses that. He says, okay, if a huge purpose feels daunting right now, just focus your thoughts intensely on the faultless performance of their duty.
Even in small, everyday tasks.
Yes. Whatever task is right in front of you. Doing that with focused attention gathers your thoughts, builds resolve, builds energy. And that, he says, opens the door to tackling bigger things later.
So by consciously choosing purpose over aimlessness,
you join the group of people who see failure differently as a stepping stone. People who make all conditions serve them.
because they think strongly.
They think strongly, attempt fearlessly, and accomplish masterfully. Why? Because their inner world, their thoughts, are aligned with their goal.
This brings up a really critical question for anyone trying to achieve something difficult today, whether it's a career goal, a fitness goal, anything.
What doubts and fears are you letting in?
Yeah, what are those disintegrating elements, as he calls them, that are breaking up your focus, your effort?
Alan is really clear on this.
Ah.
Thoughts of doubt and fear always undermine you. They lead to failure.
The will to do springs from the knowledge that we can do.
Exactly. You have to cultivate that inner knowing, that belief. Conquering doubt and fear is conquering failure in his framework.
Thought allied fearlessly to purpose becomes a creative force.
So the usable strategy here for winning, for achieving what you set out to do, it's not just about the doing.
It starts inside.
Define your purpose clearly. Focus your thoughts intensely, persistently on that. And then you have to actively root out the mental weeds, the doubts, the fears, the distractions that pull you off course.
Directing your mental energy like a laser.
Yeah. And that leads perfectly into his next point, which is really hammering home the thought factor in achievement.
He basically says, all that a man achieves and all that he fails to achieve is the direct result of his own thoughts.
It's a statement of pretty absolute individual responsibility.
Your weakness, your strength, your purity, your impurity, they're yours alone.
And they can only be changed by you through your own effort. No one else can do it for you.
You only rise, you only conquer, you only achieve by.
Lifting up his thoughts, that's the mechanism.
And you stay weak, stuck, miserable.
By refusing to do that inner work, by letting your thoughts stay low or scattered.
He argues that even achieving, say, worldly success, career, money, influence,
even that requires lifting your thoughts above base desires, above selfishness. You're only limited, he insists, by the thoughts you choose to cling to.
and he brings in this idea of sacrifice. No progress nor achievement without sacrifice.
What kind of sacrifice?
Sacrificing the lower thoughts, the confused thoughts, the animal thoughts, as he calls them. Giving those up to fix your mind firmly on developing your plans, strengthening your resolve, building self-reliance. Your external success is measured by that internal sacrifice.
He even suggests the universe itself kind of helps those who are honest, generous, virtuous.
But you have to prove it.
You prove it to yourself and maybe to the universe by persisting in becoming more virtuous, by lifting your thoughts. That's the prerequisite.
And this applies across the board. Intellectual goals, spiritual goals.
Yes. Intellectual achievement comes from thought dedicated to knowledge, to truth. Spiritual achievement from holy aspirations, selfless thoughts.
Achievement is the crown of effort, The diadem of thought.
It's the culmination. You go up through self-control, resolution, purity, right thinking. You go down through laziness, impurity, mental confusion.
He has a warning, though, doesn't he, about vigilance?
He does. Even after success, you need watchfulness. It's easy to fall back if you let your thoughts slip. All achievement follows the same law. Definitely directed thought.
So for you listening, aiming for something big, launching that business, mastering that skill, getting that promotion, Alan's message is, don't just focus on the hustle.
The hustle is important, but the quality and direction of your inner thought is fundamental.
And winning requires sacrifice.
Yes, the sacrifice of lower, easier, more distracting thoughts for higher, focused, purposeful ones. And it requires constant inner vigilance. That's the strategy for building your reality.
Okay, now we get to a part of the book that's really inspiring, almost poetic. Visions and ideals.
Ah, yes. He calls dreamers the saviors of the world.
That's quite a statement.
It is. He says humanity is nourished, lifted up by their beautiful visions and ideal.
And he makes this incredibly hopeful promise.
He who cherishes a beautiful vision, a lofty ideal in his heart, will one day realize it.
He gives examples, right? Columbus, Copernicus.
Buddha, people who held a vision and manifested it.
So the instruction for us is,
Cherish your visions. Cherish your ideals. He insists that what you consistently hold dear, what you nurture in your heart and mind, that will eventually become the actual conditions and environment of your life.
to desire is to obtain, to aspire is to achieve. That link between inner longing and outer reality again.
He suggests your purest aspirations won't just wither. There's this principle, ask and receive, but it has to be in harmony with your dominant thoughts.
I love this line. Dream lofty dreams, and as you dream, so shall you become.
It's beautiful, isn't it? Your vision isn't just a fantasy, it's the promise of what you can become. Your ideal is the prophecy of what you'll eventually unveil.
Dreams are the seedlings of reality.
That's it. And he tells that story, right? About the poor, unschooled young man.
Yeah, stuck in a workshop but dreaming of intelligence, refinement.
He consciously built that mental ideal, used his spare time to develop his mind and powers, and eventually...
He completely outgrew his circumstances, became this influential figure. He became the vision of his youth.
And Alan's point is that you, too, will realize the vision you truly hold in your heart. Not just an idle wish, but the thing you cherish.
Why? How does that work?
Because you gravitate toward that which you secretly most love. You get what you earn, he says, through your thoughts, your aspirations. You fall, stay stuck, or rise based on your controlling thoughts, your dominant vision, your ideal.
You become as small as your controlling desire or as great as your dominant aspiration.
Powerful stuff. And he pushes back against people who just call success luck or chance.
Because they don't see the inside story.
Exactly. They don't see the trials, the failures, the struggles, the sacrifices, the faith, the dark moments, the heartaches. They only see the shiny result, not the inner effort fueled by that vision.
Effort leads to results. The strength of the effort determines the result.
And gifts, powers, possession, they aren't random. They're the fruits of that sustained inner effort. Thoughts completed, objectives accomplished, visions realized.
So a really potent strategy here, especially when things feel tough, is to consciously create and hold on to a clear, positive vision.
Your ideal future self, your desired situation. Hold it firmly in your mind and heart. Trust that the consistent effort flowing from that vision will move you towards it. It's about harnessing positive mental creation.
And that brings us to the final chapter, the culmination, really. Serenity.
Calmness of mind. He calls it one of the beautiful jewels of wisdom.
And it's not something you just stumble upon.
No, it's the result of long and patient effort and self-control. Its presence indicates real experience, real understanding of these laws of thought we've been talking about.
How does one become calm, according to Alan?
By understanding yourself and understanding others as thought-evolved beings, seeing the cause and effect how thoughts lead to outcomes in yourself and in the world.
And that understanding helps you stop.
What? Stop fussing, fuming, worrying, grieving unnecessarily. It allows you to stay poised, steadfast, serene, even when the world outside is chaotic.
The calm person masters themselves.
And adapts wisely to others. People are drawn to that strength, that tranquility. They rely on it. He suggests the calmer you become, the greater your success, your influence, your power for good.
Even in practical things like business.
Yeah, he notes people prefer dealing with someone who has an equitable demeanor. Makes sense.
He describes the calm person beautifully, like a shade-giving tree in a thirsty land.
A tranquil heart, a sweet-tempered, balanced life, serene no matter what's happening externally.
This exquisite poise of character, he calls it the last lesson of culture.
The flowering of life, the fruitage of the soul, it's precious as wisdom, more desirable than gold. A serene life dwells in the ocean of truth, beyond the reach of the tempests, in the eternal calm.
It's quite poetic.
Yeah.
But he contrasts this sharply with, well, most people.
Yeah, the great majority, he says, ruin their lives with explosive tempers, lack of self-control, humanity surging with uncontrolled passion, grief, anxiety, doubt.
Only the wise person, the one whose thoughts are controlled and purified.
Can make the winds and the storms of the soul obey him, master the inner weather.
And the book ends with this really encouraging message, especially for anyone feeling overwhelmed, tempest-tossed.
He says the isles of blessedness are smiling, and the sunny shore of your ideal awaits your coming. That peace, that vision, it's achievable.
And the key.
Simple to say, maybe harder to do. Keep your hands firmly upon the helm of thought.
That inner commanding master. It's not gone, it's just asleep.
Wake him up. That's the call. Self-control is strength. Right thought is mastery. Calmness is power. You can say to your own heart, peace, be still.
It's such a profound strategy for dealing with modern life, isn't it? Actively cultivating calmness through conscious thought control isn't just about feeling less stressed.
It's about building genuine inner strength, effectiveness, and lasting peace. Mastering your inner world to thrive in the outer one.
So let's wrap this up, our deep dive into As a Man Thinketh. Well, James Allen delivers this incredibly consistent, powerful message, and it feels more relevant than ever today.
Absolutely. The core idea: you are fundamentally shaped by your thoughts, whether you realize it or not.
Everything from your character, your circumstances, your physical health.
Your purpose, your achievements, your visions, even your ability to find serenity. It all stems from how you use this amazing tool of thought.
But the main takeaway isn't deterministic. It's incredibly empowering.
Right, because if thought is the cause, then you hold the power to change things, to overcome the challenges you face, to consciously win at whatever you focus on.
But it takes effort.
Conscious effort, yeah. Honest self-analysis and the deliberate cultivation of your inner world.
It's not passive. It's an active practice.
Being the gardener of your mind, linking thought to purpose, lifting your thoughts consistently, cherishing your positive vision, mastering your inner state for calmness and power. Those are the core strategies.
So as you go back into your day, navigating everything life throws at you, pursuing your own goals, here's a final thought from James Allen to maybe chew on, a promise about that inner world we've explored.
The outer conditions of a man's life will always be found to be harmoniously related to his inner state. When a man makes his thoughts pure, he no longer desires impure food.